that brings me to a question that I would like to ask the producer, which is, what do you do with a project that is about mortality and rejection and loneliness, and how do you put a project like that together when it's not about it doesn't have Jennifer Lopez or Freddy Krueger in it?
Well, this movie kind of came together, I think, at the very last time that a movie like this could come together. It's kind of sad, because the kind of financing and the kind of mechanism for getting kind of a complex but big movie like this out in the world kind of doesn't really exist right now. It's not a cheap movie, but it was a movie that was an expensive movie for the kind of, it doesn't have robots in it, and it's not a typical genre movie. But it was also an incredibly expansive and expensive script that when you looked at it, you said that, you're going to need $50 or $80 million to make the movie. And kind of when we made this movie, we were able to get a financier who was able to offset a certain amount of the budget with international sales, and internationally, distributors were ready to pay money for a serious movie like this, and kind of that doesn't really exist right now. Maybe it'll come back. Hopefully, it'll come back. But it was at a time when serious movies were being made for budgets like this.
I just want to clarify something in case people don't realize. This movie cost nothing like $50 or $80 million. I mean, I'm not sure that was clear.
No,
because you said this movie had to be made for.
The budget suggested that it was.
We really, really worked hard and struggled to make this movie on the budget that we had, and it was a low middle kind of budget, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. in the world of
indie films,
of moviedom, this is kind of considered to be a low budget movie for in the studio world. I think we can say the number. It was a $20 million movie. But in the indie kind of specialized world, it's on the high end of that. And right now, it's kind of impossible to conceive of a movie like this getting a budget like that. So I don't know how we'd make it now, but back then you make it by saying, here's the film. And here's the script. It's Charlie Kaufman, and Charlie Kaufman does have a worldwide audience. You have people like Philip Seymour Hoffman that also have some sort of audience, and that kind of adds up to a certain number when you're selling it to the German rights to a German distributor.
And I think also it's important to add that this movie not only was among the last of those, but I think it was in a way the death knell. I mean, I think this movie contributed to the fact that these movies are going to be harder to make now. The performance of this movie, don't you agree with that? I mean, it's sort of like if this movie had
made $100 million,
it would be a very well. If it made anything, it would have been a different story. But I mean, I think that's true. I think people are always looking to see what's going to make money and what's not going to make money, and clearly not this. So.
On that note,
good night, everybody.
And if you thought the movie was dark,
give me the microphone on that note. First of all, Charlie, there are two different kinds of movies that work. There's the kind of movie that works on the opening weekend. There's the kind of movie that in the theatrical release is huge, okay? And then there's another kind of movie. I call it an evergreen.
Call it a what?
Evergreen.
Okay.
It's a movie that you fight like hell to get it seen. You traveled the whole country to promote it. The fact that an independent movie does $3 million is nothing to scoff at, although this certainly was a movie that deserved to do more. But the profile of the movie was such that it is a movie, and it has to do with the quality of the movie for sure, it is a movie that's going to have a very, very long life. And this is a fact. there are many movies that we've been involved with. I remember Orlando was one. Run Lola Run is one. There was a movie that David Cronenberg made called Spider, which was a movie that it was a movie that would not be perceived as a big success at the box office. But at this point, 12 years later, Spider has such a following. And so...
Has it made any money?
Yes, it has.
Has
It has.
Cronenberg seen any of it?
Yes.
Because
He
I know
actually-
no movie I've ever worked on has ever broken even.
Oh, wow. Well, no. Well, I can't speak. I didn't produce the movie, so I can't necessarily speak for that. But the fact of the matter is, you know, I have more evergreens than you can speak of, and I wouldn't be in the business if I didn't have them. And a movie like this has that quality that really stands the test of time. And I firmly believe that who knows how long it will be before the producer sees all their money back. But it's not an impossibility on a movie like this, and I've seen it happen.
I just think that I mean, you know, I think that the business is not happening now for movies like this, and I'd be really curious to know, you know, which movies are coming out now with the kind of budget that we're talking about.
Well,
that are like this.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
No, basically,
Okay, that's what I'm
basically
saying.
the state of the movie business, as Anthony explained, is that these movies that are in this kind of middle budget are the ones that are impossible to greenlight because, and it's not just because of the theatrical release, it's because of the lessening, the attrition of the DVD marketplace, which the global economic crisis kind of started to cause that to happen. And years ago, and it wasn't that too many years ago, people like us could take much bigger risks on higher budgets because you knew you would get that DVD sell-through number that would be so big, and it's more or less gone. And the companies are trying to find where they're going to make that up in the other kind of markets. And that's one of the reasons these movies are not
So we're in
being
agreement.
made.
We're in
Yeah.
agreement. Okay.
Yeah, we're in agreement on that.
That brings me to one more question. I'd really like to hear from all three of you about it. You know, I really take your point, Charlie, about I've made the movie, it's out there now, it's for the world to interpret. But if you're going to have an evergreen, the way the market is that what makes DVD sales work is the extras, is the background interviews and the commentary and all of that. Since you're such a meta artist, what do you think about that? Do you like to do those kinds of extras? Do you think that that is a different art form? And do you
I think it's
that that's
terrible,
part
and
of-
I did it once, and I will not do it again if I can help it. I mean, I don't, you know, the movie is the movie. That's my feeling, and my talking over the movie, telling you what happened on the set that day or what the scene means seems sort of wrong.
So would you go as far as David Lynch, who doesn't even have chapter stops on his DVDs? Like he's with you
Oh,
on
I never
that.
even thought about that.
Yeah.
David Lynch is way beyond me.
Yeah.
That's good.